What happens when love, lobola, and legal contracts collide? Actress Enhle Mbali Mlotshwa just won a landmark divorce ruling, and her case exposes the cracks in how South Africans actually understand marital law. What constitutes a valid marriage?
Not all men are bad. I think men are great, right? But some of them are problematic. So I say this because I am I am in bed, and tomorrow I go to court to prove that I was married to him traditionally. To prove. That's insane. But yeah, after God fears some men.
Under the Recognition of Customary Marriages Act, the RCMA, a customary marriage is valid if lobola is negotiated and paid, as was done by Black Coffee. The marriage is celebrated according to the customary rites. So they had a traditional wedding, and we actually saw the pictures that were blasted all over social media. Both parties are 18 and consent to be married. So both of them were obviously above the age of 18 at the time of them. I think the wife was probably 18 or 19. She was fairly young, but she was still above the age of 18. And then the last consideration is the marriage must be registered. Although failure to register the marriage does not invalidate the marriage, but we always advise people that it's better for your marriage to be registered, because think about it. Even in this instance, if Enhle Mbali had actually gone ahead and registered the customary marriage, she would have had a customary marriage certificate, which would then have not necessitated for them actually having to go to the High Court to prove that, in fact, look, there was a marriage. When must you sign an antenuptial contract? What is the timing that is required, and what are the implications of signing an antenuptial contract, and when? You need to sign an antenuptial contract before you get married. I don't know why people don't understand this. And when we say before you get married, we don't mean the day before you get married. That's the first thing. Secondly, you don't sign an antenuptial contract at Home Affairs. So you need to visit an attorney months before you set a date. Even if you've set a date, you have to set the date like far away, because you still need to go see the attorney. Several consultations need to take place. Then they need to draft the contract. You then need to review this contract. If you are happy with this contract, the contract will then be notarized, and then it also needs to be registered at the deeds office. The same way you would register your property, basically that needs to happen as well with an antenuptial contract. If you don't sign an antenuptial contract, you are automatically married in community of property, whether it is a civil marriage or a customary marriage. If you do not sign an antenuptial contract, which would then state you are either married in community of property with accrual, or you are married out of community of property without accrual, that will depend on how the antenuptial contract is structured. But if there is no antenuptial contract, you are automatically married in community of property, meaning all the assets and all the debts are shared equally. So what am I saying? I am saying, before you go down the street to sing Simu teri teri sinatla, Simu teri teri sinatla, etama pantula yele muniwari. Before that happens, you need to go see a lawyer months before you do that, because once you do that, you are married in community of property. Can you change it after you get married? Yes, you can change it, but only according to Section 21. It's a Section 21 application to the High Court under the Matrimonial Property Act. You must first notify all of the creditors that you guys have now acquired together. You must show that there's no prejudice to either spouse, because you are now changing the matrimonial property. So you need to show cause that Nobody's going to suffer as a result of us now wanting to be married out of community of property when we were initially married in community of property. And then the court will then look at the case on a case-to-case basis and decide whether or not to approve it. What had happened in this particular instance, in accordance with the application that was brought in by Black Coffee and needed to be defended by Enhle Mbali's attorney, is that Black Coffee was alleging that post-marriage there was an antenuptial contract that was signed. But the reason why the antenuptial contract was actually thrown out of court, or it was actually the court ruling says it was struck off, the reason why it was struck off is because there had not been any notification to the creditors. She would have obviously suffered prejudice because she said it many a times that she gave up a lot of things in order for there to be this marriage, and she was fairly young when she went into the marriage. And thirdly, most importantly, she had not obtained legal advice. In fact, according to what it is that was argued, she was misled. So proper procedure was not followed with regard to changing the Matrimonial Property Act. The other simple way, the other easier way to actually change your Matrimonial Property Act is to get a divorce and then sign the antenuptial contract and then get married again. A lot of people actually do it that way. It's a lot faster, it's a lot simpler, and it's a lot cheaper. I also know of a lady who is in the public eye, and there's another one who runs a gossip channel, and she keeps saying this lady is divorced. And this particular lady, in fact, on her own show, did come out and say, listen, I am changing my Matrimonial Property Act. If you don't know who I'm talking about, go and watch Own Narrative. So I'm talking about Promise Makunyang. Go and watch Own Narrative. In the episode where she was interviewing Pindi Leyende, she actually talks about changing her Matrimonial Property Act. So I think that Promise Makunyane is actually changing her marriage to out of community of property to in community of property. And although this broadcaster who keeps talking about her is right, she's actually not divorced. She's technically divorced, but she's still married. I digress. That's not what I'm talking about. Getting back to Enhle Mbali, there's a lot of mixed feelings about her right now on the social media streets. A lot of women are ululating, they're celebrating, they're saying, you know what, kudos to you, you fought the good fight. And a lot of guys came out and they're like, she played you from the very beginning and whatnot and whatnot. And I put it to you, right? I don't even think she was fighting for the money. I'm going to tell you, if you come for a woman's children or if you mess with her children, she will go crazy, right? And I'm going to play you a clip. And I think that this is what actually motivated her to stay the course with regards to this particular fight. Watch this.
I will also come at them. This man lied in the court of law, saying he went under my arm as tall as he is, when he knows very well that he hit me. He struck my hand twice and pushed me into our marital property. I don't feel safe, as he is also psychologically messing with my children, which is why I had to stand up and fight for myself. He called my children, telling my children to stop this whole case, and my child was crying. My child told me that he doesn't feel like a child anymore because of the divorce, because he's got new siblings, and so many other things. I am tired, and I am saying I am now going to talk. I am going to spare absolutely nothing.
So according to court papers, Mbali had asked the court to confirm that the marriage was in fact valid, to divide the joint estate in accordance with in community of property, to invalidate the 2017-2018 antenuptial contract, and the court agreed. In fact, in accordance with the Instagram post of the attorney, the marriage was in fact confirmed to be valid. So this is the customary marriage that we're referring to. the antenuptial contract was invalidated or struck off. The joint assets are to be divided. I don't know how much money is in that estate, and spousal maintenance over and above that was granted. I don't know. Usually with spousal maintenance, when the courts grant spousal maintenance, they grant maintenance on one or on the fulfillment of one or another suspensive condition. So it would be that if Enhle Mbali was to get married, that would then suspend the maintenance order for spousal maintenance, not child maintenance. And or if she was to get a job or something to that effect, if she was to then come and make a certain amount of money, then the maintenance order would be automatically suspended. I don't know what's in this particular court order, but usually that's how it works with the maintenance orders. And then basically what this means for everybody else, ANC signing of antenuptial contracts, customary marriages carry the full legal weight. We've also seen this now in the Didi Mabuza matter, where he paid lobola for one woman and went and had a white wedding for another woman. And I'm actually not sure what the outcome of the case is, but the effect of that is that if you are married to one person in terms of customary law, you cannot conclude a civil union. So that would then invalidate the second marriage. But again, I digress. If you do not sign an antenuptial contract before you are married in community of property. And if your partner tries to change the matrimonial property regime, either without your consent or without doing the actual application to court, it's not gonna be valid, right? A customary marriage is legally binding. An antenuptial contract needs to be signed before marriage. Post marriages, you either need to do a court application to change it, or like I said, get a divorce, sign an antenuptial contract and get married again. It's easier, it's faster, and it's cheaper to do it that way. And let this be a lesson learned, right? Let this be a lesson learned. Marriage is more than love. It's also law. You need to know your rights before you say I do. If you come for a woman, she will come for you. This is a case where you can see this lady, according to her, she says, I was keeping quiet and I was trying to protect you, but you came for my kids and now. So don't go for women's children. That's all I'm going to say. Guys, if you like what I'm doing, please click subscribe. Please share your comments. Share whatever thoughts and suggestions that you would like me to do. And I will see you guys next time.